Claire Thompson, 38, adjusted her simple navy dress in the hotel bathroom mirror, her hazel eyes scanning for flaws. The invitation to her 20-year high school reunion had arrived like an unwelcome guest, stirring memories she'd buried deep. She wasn't the awkward girl from Franklin High anymore, the one with hand-me-down clothes and a stammer when nervous. She was Colonel Claire Thompson now, though no one here would know that. Not yet. The ballroom buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses as Claire stepped in. Faces from 2 decades ago swirled around her. Some familiar, some strangers wearing name tags. She spotted the old clique by the bar, Jessica Harper, 37, with her designer heels and sharp tongue, Mark Reynolds, 39, still broad-shouldered and smug, and Lisa Grant, 36, whose giggles always carried a cruel edge. They hadn't noticed Claire yet, and she preferred it that way. Claire? Claire Thompson. A voice broke her thoughts. It was Tom Delaney, 40, the class president, his smile genuine but curious. You look different. What VE you been up to? Before she could answer, Jessica's voice cut through. Oh, Claire. Still rocking the thrift store chic, huh? The clique erupted in laughter, drawing eyes. Jessica sauntered over, her red dress clinging to every curve. What do you do now? Still working at that diner? Claire's jaw tightened, but she forced a smile. I've moved on, Jessica. How about you? Real estate, Jessica said, tossing her hair. Top agent in the city. Mark's in finance, Lisa's a lawyer. We've all done pretty well. But you, she smirked, eyeing Claire's modest dress. Let's just say some things never change. The room seemed to shrink, the laughter louder. Claire remembered high school, Jessica's taunts about her patched backpack, Mark's pranks, Lisa's whispers. She'd been the scholarship kid, the outsider. But she wasn't that girl anymore. Still, she didn't correct them. Not yet. Excuse me, Claire said, moving toward the buffet. She needed air, space, anything but their smug faces. As she picked up a plate, Mark's voice boomed behind her. Careful, Claire. Don't want to spill on that dress. More laughter. Her fingers gripped the plate, knuckles white. She found a quiet corner, sipping water, watching the room. The reunion was a time capsule. Same hierarchies, same judgments. She'd almost declined the invite, but something, maybe defiance, had pulled her here. She wasn't here to flaunt her rank or her life. She just wanted to face them, to prove to herself she'd outgrown their cruelty. Her phone buzzed in her clutch. A text from Major Ryan Carter, her deputy, situation escalating. Stand by. Claire's pulse quickened. She'd taken leave for this reunion, but her role as a colonel in Army intelligence never truly paused. She typed a quick reply, details? No response yet. Back at the bar, Jessica held court, her voice carrying. Remember Claire's science fair project? That volcano that exploded everywhere. The clique howled. Claire's cheeks burned. That project had won her a scholarship, but they only remembered the mess. She stood, ready to leave, when the room's lights flickered. A low rumble vibrated through the floor. Guests paused, glasses in hand. The rumble grew, a deep, mechanical growl. Windows rattled. Someone gasped. Claire's training kicked in. Her eyes darted to the exits, assessing. The sound wasn't an earthquake. It was heavier, deliberate. The ballroom doors burst open. A young soldier in fatigue strode in, his face taut with urgency. Every head turned. He scanned the room, then locked eyes with Claire. Colonel Thompson. He barked, saluting. We need you. Now. The room froze. Jessica's glass slipped, shattering on the floor. Mark's jaw dropped. Lisa's giggle died mid-breath. Claire's heart raced, but she stood taller, her voice calm. What's the situation, Lieutenant? Tanks are rolling in, ma'am. Command needs your orders. It's critical. The soldier's words hit like a shockwave. Whispers erupted. Tanks? Colonel. Claire set her plate down, her movements precise. Lead the way. She followed the soldier out, ignoring the stunned faces. Jessica's voice, shaky now, called after her, Claire? What's going on? Outside, the night air was cool, but the rumble was deafening. In the hotel parking lot, 3 M1 Abrams tanks idled, their turrets gleaming under streetlights. Soldiers stood at attention. Claire's mind shifted to operational mode. Whatever this was, it wasn't a drill. Major Carter approached, saluting. "Ma'am, we've got a developing crisis. Insurgent activity, 50 miles north. Intel suggests a coordinated strike. We need your expertise on the ground." Claire nodded, her reunion forgotten. "Brief me en route. Get me to the command post." She climbed into a Humvee, the tanks rolling behind. As they sped off, she glanced back. Jessica, Mark, and Lisa stood at the hotel entrance, mouths agape, their laughter replaced by shock. The Humvee's radio crackled with updates. Claire listened, her mind racing. She'd spent years analyzing threats, leading ops, earning her rank through grit and sacrifice. High school was a distant memory, but tonight, it had collided with her present. Those tanks weren't just vehicles. They were her reality, her authority, her life. The soldier driving glanced at her. "Ma'am, sorry to pull you from your event." Claire's lips twitched. "Don't be. It was getting old fast." As they neared the command post, Carter handed her a tablet with satellite imagery. "Insurgents have seized a supply depot. We've got civilians trapped. Your call on how we proceed." Claire studied the data, her focus absolute. The reunion, the taunts, the past, they vanished. She was Colonel Thompson, and lives depended on her. The tank's rumble faded into the background, replaced by the weight of command. The Humvee jolted over a rutted road, its headlights slicing through the darkness. Claire Thompson gripped the tablet, her eyes scanning satellite imagery of the insurgent-held depot. The screen showed a cluster of buildings surrounded by makeshift barricades, with heat signatures indicating armed fighters and trapped civilians. Major Ryan Carter, seated beside her, relayed updates through his headset, his voice steady but urgent. The tanks rumbled behind, their engines a constant reminder of the stakes. Claire's navy dress felt out of place in the Humvee's utilitarian interior, but her mind was sharp, trained for moments like this. The reunion's petty taunts, Jessica's smirk, Mark's jabs, Lisa's giggles, were irrelevant now. Her world had shifted from champagne flutes to combat ops in seconds. She tapped the tablet, zooming in on the depot's northern perimeter. "Carter, confirm civilian numbers," she said, her tone clipped. "Best estimate, 15 workers, ma'am," Carter replied, adjusting his headset. "Insurgents took the depot at 1900 hours. They're demanding safe passage and weapons. No clear leader identified yet." Claire nodded, her mind racing through scenarios. The depot, a critical supply hub for regional operations, held fuel, ammo, and medical supplies. Losing it would cripple logistics for weeks. Worse, the civilians, local contractors, not soldiers, were untrained and vulnerable. She'd seen too many ops go south when panic set in. Her job was to keep that from happening. The Humvee pulled into a makeshift command post, a cluster of tents and vehicles hidden in a wooded valley 10 miles from the depot. Floodlights cast stark shadows as soldiers snapped to attention. Claire stepped out, her heels sinking into the dirt. A sergeant handed her a tactical vest and boots. "Ma'am, your gear." She changed quickly in a tent, swapping her dress for fatigues, her civilian life shed like a skin. The vest's weight was familiar, grounding. She tied her hair back, her hazel eyes meeting her reflection in a small mirror. Colonel Thompson was in charge now, not the girl Jessica had mocked. Inside the command tent, a dozen officers crowded around a digital map. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, 34, a sharp-eyed analyst, briefed the team. "Insurgents number around 30, armed with small arms and RPGs. They've rigged explosives at the main gate. Satellite shows 2 civilian groups, one in the warehouse, one in the admin building." Claire studied the map, her finger tracing the depot's perimeter. "Entrances. 3, Bennett said. Main gate's a kill zone. Service road to the east is narrow exposed. Western fence is weaker but guarded." "Defensive positions?" Claire asked. "Snipers on the roof, patrols along the south wall," Bennett replied. "They're disorganized but dug in." Claire's mind churned. A direct assault risked civilian lives. A siege could drag on, giving insurgents time to execute hostages. Negotiation was an option, but their demands were non-starters. She turned to Carter. "Comms with the insurgents?" "Spotty," he said. "They're using a civilian radio. We've got a linguist trying to establish contact." Claire nodded. "Get me a line. I want to hear their tone." Understanding the enemy's mindset, desperate, arrogant, or fractured, could shift her approach. She'd learned that in her first deployment, when a warlord's bravado had revealed his weak flank. As Carter set up the radio, Claire addressed the team. "We prioritize civilian safety.
No reckless moves.
I want options for extraction, containment, and, if necessary, neutralization. Bennett, model a stealth approach via the western fence. Captain Torres, prep the tanks for a diversion at the main gate. Non-lethal if possible." Captain Miguel Torres, 35, a stocky tanker with a steady gaze, nodded. "Can do, ma'am. We'll roll heavy, draw their eyes." The radio crackled. A voice, rough and accented, came through. "Who's this? You got 1 hour before we start shooting." Claire took the receiver, her voice calm but firm. "This is Colonel Thompson, U.S. Army. I'm in charge. Name your terms, but know this: harm the civilians, and you won't walk away." A pause, then a sneer. "Big words, Colonel. We want trucks, guns, and a clear road. You got 60 minutes. Claire's eyes narrowed. The bravado was there, but the pause hinted at uncertainty. "I'll consider your terms. Keep the civilians safe, and we talk. Hurt them, and you deal with me." She cut the line, turning to Carter. "They're nervous. That's our edge." She stepped outside, the night air sharp. The tanks idled nearby, their crews checking systems. Claire approached Torres. "How fast can you stage a feint at the gate?" 10 minutes, Torres said. "We'll light it up, smoke, noise, no rounds unless ordered." "Good. Coordinate with Bennett's recon team. I want eyes on that western fence before we move." Claire's plan was forming: distract the insurgents with the tanks, infiltrate through the weak point, extract the civilians. Risky, but doable. Her phone buzzed, a text from Tom Delaney, the class president. "Claire, what was that? Are you okay?" She ignored it. The reunion felt like another lifetime. Her focus was here, now, with lives on the line. Bennett approached, holding a laptop. "Ma'am, drone footage confirms 2 guards at the western fence. We can neutralize them quietly, but there's a risk of detection." Claire weighed the odds. "Prep a 2-man team. Silenced weapons. I want them in position by 2300 hours." She glanced at her watch, 22:15. Time was tight. As Bennett relayed orders, Claire studied the depot's layout again. The warehouse civilians were her priority, closer to the western fence, easier to extract. The admin building group was deeper in, riskier. She'd need to split her forces, a move she hated but couldn't avoid. Carter joined her. "Ma'am, the Pentagon's on the line. They want a sitrep." "Tell them we're handling it," Claire said. "No escalation until I say so." She'd briefed enough brass to know they'd push for a show of force. Her job was to keep this surgical. The command tent hummed with activity, radios crackling, officers plotting routes. Claire felt the weight of every decision. She'd led ops in worse conditions, but the civilians added pressure. She thought of her first mission, a botched raid where a civilian died. That failure drove her to climb the ranks, to be better. Torres signaled from the tanks. "Ready to roll, ma'am." Claire nodded. "Move out. Keep it loud, keep it clean." The tank's engines roared, shaking the ground. She watched them disappear into the night, their lights fading. The diversion was in motion. Bennett's voice came through her earpiece. "Recon team in position. Awaiting your go." Claire took a breath, her focus absolute. The insurgents thought they held the cards, but she was about to change the game. The tanks would draw their eyes, her team would slip through, and she'd get those civilians out. Failure wasn't an option. The night air was thick with tension as Claire Thompson stood at the edge of the command post, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the tank's distant rumble signaled the start of the diversion. The M1 Abrams were doing their job, their engines roaring and smoke grenades popping at the depot's main gate, drawing insurgent attention. Claire's earpiece crackled with updates from Captain Miguel Torres. "Ma'am, we've got their eyes on us. Heavy movement at the gate." "Good," Claire responded, her voice low. "Halt Position. Keep them pinned." She turned to Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, who was crouched nearby, checking her gear. "Recon Team ready." Bennett nodded, her face lit by the faint glow of a laptop. Two-man team in place at the western fence. Guards are distracted. We've got a window. Claire's plan was in motion. While the tanks created chaos at the front, Bennett's team would breach the western fence, neutralize the guards, and secure a path for civilian extraction. The warehouse group, 12 workers, was the priority, closer to the breach point. The admin building's 3 civilians were deeper in, a problem for Phase 2. Claire's tactical vest felt heavy, but her focus was razor-sharp. She'd run ops like this before, but the civilian factor tightened her chest. No mistakes. She moved to the command tent, where officers monitored drone feeds. The screen showed insurgents scrambling toward the main gate, their silhouettes frantic under the tank's spotlight. Claire's gamble was paying off. Their defenses were thinning at the western perimeter. She tapped her earpiece. "Recon, this is Thompson. Execute." "Copy, ma'am," came the reply from Sergeant Ethan Walsh, 32, a wiry sniper leading the recon team. "Moving now." Claire watched the drone feed, her breath steady. Walsh and Private Jenna Miles, 29, crept through the brush toward the fence. Their silenced rifles glinted faintly. The 2 guards at the fence were distracted, peering toward the gate's commotion. Walsh signaled Miles, and in seconds, both guards dropped silently, tranquilized darts in their necks. Walsh whisperet, "Fence clear." Cutting trug. Claire exhalet. "Secure the breach." Signal when ready for extraction team. She turned to Bennett. "Get the extraction team in position. 6 operators, medics included. I want them through that fence the second Walsh gives the green." Bennett relayed the order, her hands flying over her laptop. The extraction team, led by Captain Rachel Nguyen, 33, was already geared up, their faces grim but focused. Nguyen approached Claire. "Ma'am, we're ready. Medics have trauma kits for civilian injuries. ETA to fence is 5 minutes. Make it 3, Claire said. We don't know how long the diversion holds. She glanced at the drone feed again. The insurgents were still focused on the tanks, but a few were peeling back toward the warehouse. Time was slipping. Major Ryan Carter joined her, his brow furrowed. "Ma'am, the insurgent leader's on the radio again. He's pissed about the tanks. Threatening to kill a civilian." Claire's jaw tightened. She grabbed the receiver. "This is Colonel Thompson. You're surrounded. Stand down, release the civilians, and we can talk. Escalate and Juredone." The voice on the other end laughed, but it was strained. "You think your tanks scare us? Von Hurs up. You'll see blood soon." Claire kept her tone icy. "Jure out of moves. Harm anyone, and those tanks roll over you." "Shekutzelein, turning to Carter. He's bluffing to buy time. They're stretched thin. Push the diversion harder." Carter nodded, relaying orders to Torres. The tanks fired another round of smoke, the depot's gate now a haze of light and noise. Claire's mind raced. The leader's bravado was cracking. He hadn't expected a coordinated response this fast. She'd use that. Walsh's voice came trug. "Breach secured. Pass to Warehouse clear. 2 insurgents patrolling nearby, but we've got eyes on them." Claire tappet Nguyen. "Go. Get to the Warehouse. Walsh will guide you." Nguyen's team sprinted toward Humvees, their boots pounding dirt. Claire followed their progress on the drone feed, her heart in her throat. The warehouse was 200 yards from the fence, a low concrete building with one main entrance. If insurgents spotted the team, it'd be a firefight. She stepped outside, the command post a hive of activity. Soldiers checked weapons, medics prepped stretchers, and radios buzzed with coded chatter. The tank's rumble was fainter now, but the night felt alive with purpose. Claire's thoughts flicked to the reunion, Jessica's sneer, Mark's laughter. They'd never understand this world, her world. She shoved the memory aside. Bennett called from the tent. "Ma'am, Nguyen's team is at the warehouse. Walsh reports no detection. They're at the entrance." Claire returned, eyes on the feed. Nguyen's team stacked up at the warehouse door, their movements silent. Walsh whispered coordinates, guiding them past a patrolling insurgent. Claire's fingers tapped her vest. One wrong move, and the op could collapse. Nguyen's voice crackled.
Breaching now.
The feed showed the team slipping inside, their flashlights cutting through the dark. Claire held her breath. Seconds later, Nguyen reported, civilians located.
12 al-Alive.
Minor injuries. Prepping for extraction. Relief surged, but Claire stayed focused. Get them out fast. Walsh, cover their exit. Copy, Walsh said. The drone showed the team moving, civilians huddled between soldiers. One worker limped, supported by a medic. The group reached the fence in minutes, Humvees waiting to whisk them to safety. Claire allowed herself a small nod. Phase 1 was a success. But the admin building loomed. 3 civilians, deeper in the depot, surrounded by insurgents. The drone feed showed increased activity, fighters returning from the gate, alerted by the warehouse breach. Claire's diversion was losing its grip. She turned to Bennett. Options for the admin building? Bennett pulled up a schematic. 2 entrances, both guarded. Roof access is possible but exposed. Insurgents are regrouping, 10 inside, 5 outside. Claire's mind churned. A roof insertion was risky but could bypass the guards. She needed a second diversion to pull insurgents away.
Carter, get Torres to reposition the tanks. Hit the eastern service road, make it loot.
Carter hesitated. "Ma'am, that stretches our resources. If they counterattack." "Do it," Claire said. "We need their eyes off the admin building." Carter nodded, relaying the order.
Torres, voice came trug. Repositioning now.
Eastern Road in 3 minutes. The tank's rumble shifted, their tracks grinding toward the new target. Claire tapped her earpiece.
Nguyen, prep a forman team for Rufinsertion. Rappel gear, silenced weapons. Weit vor my signal.
Nguyen confirmed, her team already moving. The drone feed showed insurgents reacting, some rushing toward the eastern road where the tanks were advancing. Claire's second gamble was working, but the window was narrow. She glanced at her watch, 23:45. The night was slipping away, and the admin building was a powder keg.
Bennett flagget her. Ma'am, radio intercept.
Insurgent leaders ordering a civilian execution to force our hand.
Claire's blood ran cold.
She grabbed the receiver, her voice steel.
This is Thompson. Touch a civilian, and I bury you.
Release them now, or we come in hard. The leader's voice was shaky. You're bluffing, Colonel. Try me, Claire said, cutting the line. She turned to her team.
We move now. Nguyen, go for the roof.
Torres, hit that road hard. Everyone else, stand by for my orders. The command post pulsed with urgency.
Claire's eyes locked on the drone feed. Wetjing Nguyen's team scale the admin building.
The tanks roared on the eastern road. The insurgents were splitting, confused.
Claire's plan was holding, barely.
She gripped her tablet, ready to call the shots that would save or doom them all. Claire Thompson's eyes burned into the drone feed, her pulse steady despite the chaos unfolding on the screen. Nguyen's 4-man team clung to the admin building's roof, their rappelling ropes taut against the concrete edge. Below, insurgents scrambled, some drawn to the tank's new assault on the eastern service road, others tightening their grip on the building. The 3 civilians inside, 2 contractors and a supervisor, were running out of time. Claire's second diversion was thinning the enemy's ranks, but the insurgent leader's threat to execute a hostage loomed large. She had to act fast. The command tent hummed with urgency. Officers relayed coordinates, radios crackled, and Bennett's laptop flickered with real-time updates. Claire tapped her earpiece. Nguyen, status. Captain Rachel Nguyen's voice was low, focused. Teams in position, ma'am. Roof hatch is locked but breachable. 2 insurgents below, unaware. Awaiting your go. Claire glanced at the drone feed. The insurgents inside the admin building were spread thin. 5 guarding the civilians in a central office, others patrolling the halls. The tank's roar on the eastern road had pulled 3 fighters outside, but the leader was still unaccounted for. She needed him distracted. Torres, she said into her mic, escalate the eastern push. Flashbangs, full noise. Now. Copy, ma'am, Captain Miguel Torres replied. Seconds later, the feed showed bright flashes and smoke erupting along the eastern road. Insurgents shouted, their silhouettes chaotic. Claire's gamble was holding, but the clock was merciless, 0010 hours. She turned to Nguyen. Breach the hatch. Silent entry. Neutralize threats, secure the civilians. If it goes loud, you pull back. Understood, Nguyen said. The feed showed her team prying the hatch, their movements precise. Claire's fingers tapped her vest, a habit from years of high-stakes ops. She'd lost a team once, early in her career, a miscalled airstrike in a desert hellhole. That scar drove her to be flawless now. The hatch gave way. Nguyen's team slipped inside, their silenced rifles ready. The feed switched to their helmet cams, grainy but clear. They descended a stairwell, shadows flickering. 2 insurgents patrolled the hall below, oblivious. Nguyen signaled, and her team dropped them with darts, dragging the bodies into a closet. Claire exhaled. Good work. Find the civilians. Bennett flagged her.
Ma'am, radio chatter.
The leader's in the office with the civilians. He's armed, erratic. Claire's jaw clenched. She grabbed the receiver, her voice calm but lethal. This is Colonel Thompson. You're cornered. Release the civilians, and you live. Fight, and you don't. A shaky laugh came through. You're out of tricks, Colonel. 1 civilian's already bleeding. Want another? Claire's blood ran cold, but she kept her tone steady. You're making a mistake. Let them go, and we talk terms. She cut the line, turning to Bennett. Get me eyes in that office. Bennett patched a microdrone's feed, its tiny lens peering through a vent. The office was cramped. 3 civilians huddled in a corner, one clutching a bloodied arm. The leader, a wiry man with a pistol, paced, shouting into a radio. 2 insurgents flanked him, rifles up. Claire's mind raced. A direct assault risked a bloodbath. Nguyen's team was their only shot. Nguyen, Claire whispered, you're 20 yards from the office. Vent access above. Can you get in?
Affirmati, Nguyen replied.
Tight squeeze, but we'll make it. 2 of us can drop in, 2 cover the hall. Do it, Claire said. Wait for my signal to engage. She turned to Carter. Tell Torres to hit the eastern road harder. I want every insurgent looking that way. Carter nodded, relaying the order. The tank's flashbangs lit up the feed, the noise deafening even through the screen. Insurgents outside the admin building rushed east, leaving the office vulnerable. Claire's window was now. Nguyen's helmet cam showed her crawling through a vent, her team behind. The microdrone feed confirmed the leader was distracted, yelling at his radio. Claire's voice was ice. Nguyen, go. Nguyen dropped silently into the office, her partner following. The insurgents spun, but Nguyen's darts hit first, 1 guard down, then the second. The leader raised his pistol, but Nguyen tackled him, pinning him to the floor. The civilians screamed, scrambling back. Nguyen's team secured the room, zip-tying the leader. Civilians safe, Nguyen reported. 1 injured, stable. Claire's shoulders eased, but she stayed sharp. Get them out.
Ruf exit, fast.
Nguyen's team guided the civilians to the stairwell, the injured man supported by a soldier. The microdrone showed the hall clear, but insurgents were returning from the eastern road. Time was tight. Outside, Humvees waited at the western fence. Claire watched the feed as Nguyen's team reached the roof, rappelling down with the civilians. Medics rushed forward, treating the injured contractor. The supervisor, a woman in her 50s, was shaken but unharmed. Claire allowed a brief nod. All 15 civilians were out. But the depot wasn't secure. Insurgents were regrouping, and the leader's capture would enrage them. Claire turned to Bennett. "What's their strength now?" 10 left, ma'am, Bennett said, scanning the feed. "Mostly at the main gate, some in the warehouse. They're disorganized but armed." Claire weighed her options. She could order a full assault, but that risked her team. Containment was safer. Lock the insurgents in until reinforcements arrived. "Carter, get me the Pentagon. I need a QRF here in 30 mics." Carter hesitated. "Ma'am, they're pushing for a strike. Airstrikes on the table."
No, Claire snapped. No civilians, no collateral.
"Tell them I'm handling it." She'd seen airstrikes erase mistakes and lives. This was her op, her call. Torres' voice crackled. "Ma'am, insurgents are pulling back from the eastern road. They're fortifying the gate." Claire nodded. "Hold position. Keep them contained." She turned to Nguyen, now back at the command post. "Good work, Captain. Prep your team for perimeter security. We're locking this place down." Nguyen saluted, her face smeared with sweat. Claire stepped outside, the night air cool against her skin. The tank's rumble was steady, the depot's lights flickering in the distance. Her team had pulled off the impossible, 15 civilians saved, no losses. But the insurgents weren't done, and neither was she. Her phone buzzed, another text from Tom Delaney. "Claire, people are freaking out. Are you a colonel? What's happening?" She ignored it, her focus on the depot. The reunion, Jessica's taunts, Mark's smugness, they were noise now. This was her reality, command, lives, duty. Bennett called from the tent. "Ma'am, QRF's 25 minutes out. Insurgents are digging in, but they're not advancing." Claire nodded, her mind already on the next move. The depot's supplies were still at risk, and the insurgents' desperation could spark a last stand. She'd contain them, outmaneuver them, and end this on her terms. The night wasn't over, and neither was her fight. The command post thrummed with controlled chaos as Claire Thompson stood over the digital map, her eyes tracing the depot's perimeter. The quick reaction force was 10 minutes out, their choppers ETA confirmed by Major Ryan Carter. The insurgents, now down to 8 fighters after Nguyen's team captured their leader, were barricaded at the depot's main gate, their movements erratic on the drone feed. Claire's operation had saved all 15 civilians, but the depot's supplies, fuel, ammo, medical kits, remained at risk. She wouldn't let the insurgents torch it out of spite. Her fatigues were streaked with dirt, her tactical vest heavy but familiar. The night was deep, 0045 hours, and the air carried a chill that sharpened her focus. The tanks, repositioned to encircle the gate, idled under Captain Miguel Torres' command, their turrets trained on the insurgents' makeshift barricades. Claire's strategy was containment. Keep the enemy pinned until the QRF arrived, then neutralize them with minimal bloodshed. But the insurgents' desperation was a wild card. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett approached, her laptop showing fresh intel. "Ma'am, they're rigging explosives at the gate. Looks like C4, enough to blow the supply cache if they detonate." Claire's stomach tightened. "Can we jam their detonators?" Bennett nodded. "We've got a signal jammer prepped, but we need to be within 50 yards. Risky with their snipers."
Claire Weitze Oates.
A sniper takedown was possible, but it could trigger the explosives. She tapped her earpiece.
Torres, status on the gate.
"Insurgents are hunkered down," Torres replied.
2 snipers on the roof, 3 at the barricade, 3 inside.
"They're shouting, disorganized." Claire's mind churned. Disorganization was her edge. She turned to Captain Rachel Nguyen, fresh from the civilian extraction. "Can your team take the snipers quietly?" Nguyen, wiping sweat from her brow, nodded. 2 of us, silenced rifles, rooftop approach. We'll need a distraction." "Done," Claire said. "Torres, on my mark, fire smoke rounds at the gate."
Non-lethal, max no ase.
She turned to Bennett. Get that jammer ready. Move with Nguyen's team. Bennett hesitated.
Ma'am, if I'm spotted. You won't be, Claire cut in. Nguyen's got you.
Her tone was firm, but her eyes softened. She trusted her team, but the weight of their lives sat heavy. Nguyen and Bennett geared up, joining 2 snipers from the extraction team, Sergeant Ethan Walsh and Private Jenna Miles. Claire watched them slip into the darkness, their silhouettes fading toward the depot's western flank. The drone feed tracked their progress, a tense ballet of stealth. Claire's fingers tapped her vest, her old habit resurfacing. She'd led ops in worse conditions, sandstorms, ambushes, but the stakes here felt personal. This wasn't just a mission, it was proof she'd outgrown the girl Jessica mocked.
The radio crackled.
An insurgent voice, not the leaders, came through, panicked.
VLL blow it all.
Back off. Claire grabbed the receiver, her voice steady.
This is Colonel Thompson. You retrapped. Surrender, and you live. Detonate, and you reduced.
A pause, then a shout. No deals. The line went dead. Claire's jaw clenched. They were cornered, volatile. She needed them rattled. Torres, she said, smoke rounds now.
The tanks fired, smoke canisters hissing into the gate, blanketing it in grey.
Insurgents coughed, their silhouettes scattering on the feed.
Nguyen's voice came through. Snipers down.
Roof clear.
Claire exhaled. Bennett, activate the jammer.
Jamming now, Bennett replied. The feed showed her crouched behind a crate, her device humming. The insurgents' radios went silent, their detonators useless. Claire's plan was clicking into place. But the feed flickered. An insurgent at the gate, armed with an RPG, aimed at the tanks. Claire's heart lurched.
Torres, hostile with RPG, 10 o'clock.
Torres' tank swiveled, its spotlight pinning the fighter. A warning shot, rubber rounds, dropped him before he fired.
Claire's pulse steadied.
Nice work.
Hold the line.
Nguyen's team reached the gate's flank, their helmet cams showing 3 insurgents at the barricade, unaware. Walsh whispered, ready to engage. Non-lethal if possible, Claire ordered. Take them. Nguyen's team moved, darts dropping 2 fighters. The third lunged, knife drawn, but Miles tackled him, zip-tying his wrists. Gate secured, Nguyen reported. Claire nodded, her focus shifting to the 3 insurgents inside the depot. The QRF's choppers were audible now, a low thrum in the distance. She tapped her earpiece.
Nguyen, sweep the interior.
Bennett, stay on that jammer.
Torres, keep the gate locked down.
Nguyen's team breached the depot's main building, their cams showing a maze of crates and fuel drums. The remaining insurgents were cornered in a storage room, their shouts audible. Claire watched, tense. A firefight here could ignite the supplies.
Nguyen signaled a flashbang.
It detonated, disorienting the insurgents. Her team rushed in, subduing them with darts and cuffs. All clear, Nguyen said.
Depot secure.
Claire's shoulders relaxed, the weight lifting.
The QRF choppers took down, troops spilling out to reinforce the perimeter.
She stepped outside, the dawn's first light graying the sky. Her team had done it. No civilian deaths, no losses, the depot intact. She'd outmaneuvered the insurgents, her decisions holding under pressure. Carter approached, saluting.
Ma'am, QRF is taking over. Pentagon wants a debrief.
Let them wait, Claire said, her voice calm but firm. She walked to the depot, where Nguyen's team guarded the zip-tied insurgents. The leader, still groggy from his capture, glared at her. Claire met his eyes, unyielding. You underestimated us, she said.
Big mistake.
She turned away, her boots crunching on gravel. The tanks idled nearby, their crews grinning with relief. Nguyen joined her, offering a tired smile.
Hell of a night, ma'am.
Claire nodded. You made it work, Captain. She glanced at the depot, its supplies safe, her mission complete.
The reunion felt like a dream now. Jessica's Laukhater, Mark's Towns, Lisa's cruelty.
They'd never grasped this, her world of duty and sacrifice. Her phone buzzed, Tom Delaney again.
Claire, Jure all over the news. Colonel? Cole me.
She pocketed it. The news could wait. She'd faced her past, not at the reunion, but here, in the dirt and smoke, where her choices saved lives. As the QRF secured the site, Claire climbed into a Humvee, her team following.
The depot fadet behind them, the Sunrise painting the horizon gold.
She'd return to base, debrief, and move to the next mission. The girl from Franklin High was gone, replaced by Colonel Thompson, forged in fire. She leaned back, eyes on the road ahead, ready for whatever came next.